Dear trading friends, or those who want to become one, today I have a different kind of video for you. No chart analysis of cryptocurrencies or anything like that, and no crypto news either. No, I'm going to show you something that BitGet has introduced, which is super interesting. And as you can see here, you can now trade real-world assets, meaning stocks, on BitGet. In this case, for example, I currently have Apple open. I want to show you a partnership that BitGet has entered into with ONDO Finance. Keep an eye on the ONDO coin as well. It has incredible potential for the future. But what they've done is tokenize real-world assets, meaning stocks, and now you have the opportunity to trade, for example, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Google, NVDA, Meta, Amazon, and many others. We also have crypto-related stocks such as MicroStrategy, Robinhood, Coinbase, and others included. And what's also coming are international companies and ETFs like Disney, Toyota, Netflix, Goldman Sachs. You can see the iShares ETF here. There's also the S&P 500 ETF, and things like that are gradually being added. This means that anyone who wants to trade exactly these kinds of assets can now do so directly on BitGet. They haven't had this active for very long yet. You can see here it's actually been available since August 26th. Unfortunately, I'm bringing you this video a bit late because if we think back to the Apple launch, I don't know if you caught that, the world was expecting Apple to release a foldable smartphone, but they didn't do it. And Apple crashed really hard right after that launch, losing quite a bit of market value, at least temporarily. And events like that, or various other quarterly results, if for example they don't turn out well, you can now trade all of that on BitGet. I'll also show you what the leverage rules are, how high does it go, where are the limits, and how can you actually do this in detail. But where do you find this? And I think that's interesting. If you're already on BitGet, then you're already familiar with this whole area. If you're not on BitGet yet, you have the option to sign up using the link in the video description. Of course, you'll get a bonus. In this case, you get $200 as a voucher for a trading bot and $200 as a voucher for a US tether trade. And this futures position boost voucher can also be used for real-world assets. And in this case, as you can see here, this is also a futures position for USDT, just with Apple. If you're already on BitGet but don't know where to find this, just click on Futures at the top, then go to USTTM Futures. After that, Bitcoin will automatically appear, and up here at this little arrow, when you're on USTTM Futures, you have the option to select All, then New, and in this case, Stocks. And there you see, now I have the option to select NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple, Google, Amazon, Meta, and so on. Let's go into NVIDIA, for example, because I've noticed that NVIDIA has had a very strong pump again. But now you have the opportunity to trade here. These long sideways lines you see here are nothing more than when the exchange is not active. That means the market is closed. On a normal chart in TradingView, it looks like there's nothing here at all. Here it's just a sideways line, but the opportunity exists here now. But with each asset, you also have different maximum leverage options. In this case, you can see that with a 10 times leverage, we can open a position of up to $50,000. And the higher we go here, yes, with a 25 times leverage, it all drops down to $5,000. That means for someone who trades really large amounts, this isn't exactly ideal. But if you say, okay, you want to take advantage of quarterly reports or other news events from NVIDIA or other stocks for yourself without having to use a separate exchange or register there, you can now do all of that directly on BitGet. And what I know now is that each asset has its own limitation on the maximum position size. Maybe we can take a quick look at that again. Maybe let's take McDonald's as an example and go in here, and we also see the 10 times leverage here. And in this case, the 10 times leverage for McDonald's, for example, is the maximum you can use with a stake of $2,500. Let's move on to something else, for example. MicroStrategy, very, very well known. As we know, they are accumulating huge amounts of Bitcoin here. How much leverage can you use with MicroStrategy? In this case, with 10 times leverage, also with $50,000. And if you increase the leverage, again, the maximum is only up to $5,000. And depending on the asset or stock, you have different maximum position sizes that are allowed here. And if you're already familiar with this type of trading, for example with stocks or similar, then you usually have a spread on other exchanges. What is the spread? That means if I want to go long here, there is always a spread between the higher selling price and the lower buying price, depending on where the bid and ask of buyers and sellers are, which you first have to overcome, either upwards or downwards, to get into profit. And here, as you can see, that spread is completely eliminated. This means you can actually buy at the market price or with a limit order without having a spread, which of course brings a certain advantage. And you can of course take advantage of this benefit for yourself. And what I also want to show you is that Bitget currently has a campaign running. This is now round 4. Round 4 is still running for 1 day and 6 hours. But depending on the trading volume of these stocks, you have the opportunity to get bonus vouchers here. $30, $50, $100, or here a $5 fee rebate voucher. This means you actually pay nothing for opening and closing the trade. And you can actually get this as soon as you reach just $1,000 in trading volume. Of course, it gets a little different there. One time it's 100,000, another time it's 10,000, or you can already get these $30 if you simply trade one of the specified stocks with a trading volume of over $1,000. It's obviously a lot of fun when you get $30 for such a small amount, for a small position that you just have to open here. Even 10,000 can be opened and closed quickly. If you have a bit of knowledge about technical analysis, you can easily grab these $50 and $30 for yourself very quickly and then put them into new positions. So if you're interested in this, real-world assets, meaning stocks, now being able to trade them live on Bitget, whether it's around earnings reports or other events, like when a big deal happens, for example with NVDA, which just kept rising endlessly, you can now do that on Bitget. If you're not on Bitget yet, I'd of course appreciate it if you used my link and grabbed yourself a little bonus. In addition to these vouchers, you'll also get a VIP 1 trial pass for 2 weeks so you can trade everything with lower fees. Otherwise, that's it for this video and I'll see you next time.